Hey, Mama! If you're looking to have a deeper relationship with Jesus and searching for a community of Christian moms, I'm so glad you are here. I'm a Christian wife and mom who is passionate about helping mamas finally let go of the mom guilt and learn to live loved. I want to help mamas see that they are truly and perfectly loved, even, especially in motherhood. Welcome back to the Live Loved Mom podcast. I'm Cindy, your host. I'm a wife, mom, and lover of Jesus. Let's dig into God's Word together and get encouraged while we're on this journey of motherhood. Let's learn some parenting tips and mom hacks and learn how to raise our kids God's way. So, grab your coffee, listen on your drive to work, or maybe put that forgotten load of laundry back to wash again. Let's tackle mom guilt together and learn to live loved. Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, so I am so excited. I have a special guest with me today. It's a bossy big sis. Her name is Brandy Lynn. She has the top 5% globally ranked podcast for women to help them ditch excuses and step boldly into their purpose. I love that. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Brandy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from?
Sure.
You have
I live
kids.
in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the Midwest. I don't want to be here forever. I don't like the winter. I need to be a beach girl. But I've
Come
got
to
two
Florida.
teenage.
We have plenty of
Yes.
beaches here.
Yes. I've got two teenage boys. They're 15 and 17. So we're in that season of life. And I'm married to my husband, who we've been together since like our college years. And we're in that season where we're just like the boys are doing their own thing a lot of the time. So we're
Mm,
not empty nesters by any means, but
yet.
we're just like enjoying more time together, just the two of us, which is really nice. And having hobbies and things like that.
Love that.
Yeah, it's fun. And I'm a business coach. I primarily coach small business owners because I have been a small business owner for so many years. I coach them in strategies and systems, primarily to help them to scale their businesses. I'm a wellness influencer and a podcaster. I'm really, truly on a mission to help women to live lives they're obsessed with and honor the Lord.
I love
I love seeing women win. I love seeing women walk out their God call. I think we've all got a different call. Even if yours is to be a stay-at-home mom who bakes sourdough bread every day and your life looks totally different than mine, but that's what fills your heart and you are obsessed with that life. I'm obsessed with that for you. So like
Yeah,
I love seeing women just walking out their unique purpose in the
right.
Lord, and it's fun. So
I love that. Yes, it's so true. Just to see the Lord using women, and whether it is that you're a stay-at-home mom and you're just taking care of the kids, maybe that is your calling. So
yeah.
how would you help someone that's not sure what their calling is or what their purpose is? Like, what would you say to them? Like, what are some steps they could take to figure that out?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we have to be, I don't think it's that we don't know or that we don't hear. I think it's that we don't move when God tells us to move.
Oh,
And so I think that we have to get really honest with ourselves and we have to get really vulnerable. And like, if you ask the Lord to speak to you, He's going to speak to you. It's just you might not like what you hear. And I know that I've definitely been in situations like that where I'm like asking God for something or I have my idea of what I want it to look like. And then I ask God and it's like not that. And I'm like, ooh, that's not what I
wasn't
was
yeah, it
going to
wasn't
say.
the answer I wanted to hear. I do feel that sometimes we might not hear, and I think that comes with maybe not taking the time to sit still and listen. I think it's so important to actually set aside time and just be like, okay, because sometimes we just ask and ask and ask, and then we don't take the time to just sit and listen. Like, how are you going to hear the answer if you're not
Right.
sitting and listening for the
Right.
answer?
And I think sometimes too, we just overcomplicate it. I think we can get so hung up on social media and comparing, you see someone else doing XYZ. And so you think that as a woman, and a mom or whatever, that that's what you're supposed to be doing too, but your walk isn't her walk.
Yeah. Oh, I love
And
that you say that because man, comparison is so horrible and detrimental to our purpose and our calling because we
yes,
start thinking, I need to be there, but that's not where the Lord called you, you know? So it's
no.
so
And
different.
I've got friends, who I've always been a business girl, and I owned a boutique for 6 years, and that was extremely successful, which was truly the Lord. And like me just saying yes and him like moving in the yes, right? And but they're not looking at me and being like, oh my gosh, I need to be doing what Brandy's doing. And I'm not looking at them thinking, oh my gosh, I should be, I'm not feeling guilty because I'm not doing what she's doing as a stay-at-home mom. It's
Right.
like we're all just confident in what God has called each of us to. Each of us have been given a unique set of gifts and strengths and talents and abilities. And we have all walked through different experiences, and we've all got different testimonies, and God can use every bit of that. No one is better than the other or less than the other. It's
Mhm.
like, what have you walked through?
Right.
What gifts has God given to you? What has God entrusted you with?
Mhm.
And walking that out. And so I think comparison really robs us.
For sure. And I love that you said that we each have our own gifts and talents because that is so true. And I think really figuring that out, like what are the gifts and talents that the Lord has given you? I think that can also help you figure out like what your purpose is. Speaking of figuring out your purpose, and I feel like as moms, one of the things that we do is we start putting everything and everyone in front and totally forget about like our dreams and our passions and things like that. And I know that you work with women, you want them to build a life that they are obsessed with.
Mhm.
So, what would you say to a mom that maybe is not thinking about her dreams or she feels like she can't pursue her dreams right now because she has her kids? What would you say to a mom like
Mhm.
that just needs to really start dreaming again, you know?
It's not unholy, guys. It is not unholy to take care of yourself. You, before you were a mom, were God's daughter. Like
Mm,
you were God's daughter first.
right,
And you're not more holy because you're running yourself in the ground and not taking care of yourself and not allowing yourself to dream. Like I think about the parable of the talents where like God gave, or the master gave each of the three servants a certain amount of talents, and two of them multiplied their talents, right?
right.
And one of them was
Just
so
buried it.
afraid and just buried it. When the master came back, he's like, you lazy servant. And I'm like, that freaks me out. Like, I never want God to look at me and be like, you lazy servant. He was so afraid, so he wasn't trusting. We have to know that, like, it truly is our responsibility to steward well everything that God's given to you, not just your kids.
Right.
Like, God's given you one body. Are you stewarding it well? God's given
Mm,
you all these talents. Are you stewarding them well? So I think
right,
it's kind of like having a little come to Jesus with yourself to be like, ooh, no, I haven't been. And
mm,
recognizing that it's not unholy to begin stewarding those things well. If God's given you like this incredible gift of creativity
right,
and you've just buried it and buried it and buried it because social media made you feel like that you're a better mom because you don't do things for yourself, but like God has given you that and you're feeling a nudge, and you're going to know the difference between the Holy Spirit and like the enemy, because the enemy is a forceful, kind of unkind
yeah,
push,
sure,
right?
yeah.
And like the Holy Spirit is going to be a more
Like a
gentle,
nudge, yeah, like, but you feel it.
you feel it. And
Yeah,
I'm sure, think about times in your life where you know the difference between those two feelings. It's like the difference between conviction and condemnation, right? Like the enemy
yeah.
condemns
Mm-hmm.
and the Holy Spirit convicts. Okay.
Right,
So that's what it's going to be with your call too. And it may not be the season for it,
right.
right? Like right now
Not,
may not be the season for it. Ask God for clarity in that.
yeah.
But know that when God says go, you don't have to have it all figured out.
Mm.
And
That's
so
such a
it's
good point.
truly just walking in obedience. Your podcast exists because you just said yes. You didn't
Yeah,
have it all figured out. It wasn't going to
exactly.
be perfect. Any business that I've started, when I started my boutique, I thought that I would sell like $1,000 worth of clothes a month. And in our first weekend, we did $10,000. And
Wow.
I was like I hadn't done anything spectacular. I literally just said yes. And so ask yourself, like, what's God been calling me to that I keep saying I'm going to pray about? But I'm going to tell you right now, if you've prayed about it and you've prayed about it and God has said go, and then you say, I'm just going to pray for a little bit more clarity, you're making an excuse. Like, that's Christianese. Oh, I don't want to do the thing that God's calling me to do.
Oh my
Right?
goodness, that is so good because I think sometimes we already get the confirmation, right? And we're like,
Yes.
Lord, give me another
Yeah.
sign.
Like,
Lord, I need more signs.
what are you praying for? That he's going to change his mind? Like he already said go. You just like he said jump, you say how high.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to. Is it
Mhm.
going to be easy or comfortable? Probably not.
That's such a good point because I mean, even for me, I still sometimes, I'll be like, okay, Lord, like which way do I go? And then he tells me, and I'm like, okay, yeah. So you want me to go this way, but then can you just give me like one more confirmation? Like just one more, And really sometimes he doesn't give you that second or third confirmation, and you're like, what do I do? And it's because he's like, no, I already spoke to you. Like I've already
Yeah.
told you what to do. Now you just have to walk in it. And it's not always easy. It is challenging. But man, like when we do say yes and we are obedient, man, the way that the Lord can use us is just so beautiful and such a blessing and privilege.
Yeah. And it's like when you tell your kid to clean their room, you don't mean next week.
Right.
I mean today. I want your
Like
room
now.
cleaned today. And
Hey.
think about like when our Father is calling us to something. And if he's giving you the go right now, like our delayed obedience is disobedience.
Hmm.
And that's convicting for me.
It is. No,
And
it's
it should
so
be.
true.
And
Right.
so it's going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to have it all figured out.
Hmm.
It's going to feel messy. But you have got one life and God has given you gifts and strengths and talents and abilities and asks you to steward them well.
Yeah.
And I think about on an airplane. Because listen, motherhood is exhausting and
Mhm.
glorious and wonderful and all the things all at
Yes.
once. But the flight attendant tells you that if that little mask drops from the ceiling, that you need to get oxygen. They literally tell you, put your mask on first.
Hmm.
Even if you have a 2-year-old child next to you, even if you
Yeah.
have an elderly person next to you, you put your mask on first because if you pass out because you're without oxygen, now you can't help those two people next to you.
Hmm.
So, moms, like, put your mask on,
Yeah.
give yourself some oxygen so that you can even help the people next to you. You're not going to be able to when you're passed out without oxygen.
You have to learn to fill your cup, right? And I love that you said before you were a mom, like we were daughters of the Lord, like we still are. And mom is just, it's a role. It's not your identity. It's not who you are. So you still have you and you still need to fill your cup and fulfill the dreams and callings that the Lord has placed on your life. Brandy, I love that, you said there's seasons, right? Because maybe you have a newborn right now, and maybe right now is just not the time. But I think the Lord, if you seek Him, will give you clarity of
Mhm.
when to start it. And maybe He has put a dream, and you're like, yes, I know that I have this calling on my life, but maybe it's just not this season yet. But the Lord will reveal to you when is the season. Be okay with stepping into it boldly because if He's called you to it, He's gonna help you get through it.
It's saying, Lord, I trust, I don't get this. I don't know why you would ask me to do this thing. It feels ridiculous. I don't feel equipped, but I'm just trusting you to order my steps. And
Right.
I'm just going to like light a path, make it so clear. Open and close every door for us. Like if there's something
Mm,
that we're not supposed to do, because
right.
it was like scary. It was a scary adventure. Like close the door, like slam
Right.
it closed. I don't want to go through any door that's not for
Yeah,
me, but
exactly.
open wide every door that is for me. Like if you will begin praying that way, he's gonna do it. And
Yeah.
start if you will make this one switch in your brain, instead of saying when God's calling you to something and you're thinking in your head, "Oh, I can't do that." If you will be mindful and hear yourself saying that, hearing yourself say, I can't do that. And instead you'll say, how can I do that?
Mm,
If you will make that switch, your brain now is going to look for opportunities. It's going to look for ways. But as soon as you say, I can't do that, your brain is closed off to even seeing possibilities.
right.
And it's keeping you from living the life that you're obsessed with and that
Mhm.
honors the Lord, because doing what he says is honorable.
Right. So true. And I just love that you said that because, like I've really been learning more about neuroplasticity and how our brain works, right? And it's so funny because it's like the Bible had already told us like to renew our minds. Like the Lord knows that, we can renew our minds. I love that you said that, if we focus on just the possibility, then our brain is going to look for those possibilities, right?
Your brain seeks to prove you.
Right.
So if
Whether
I
it's
say
whether
I
it's
can't.
wrong or right.
Correct. And your brain wants to keep you safe. So
Mhm.
if you say, I can't do this, your brain all day long is going to be like, oh, see, that's why you can't do it. Oh, see, here's another example of how that can't happen. But if
Yeah.
you say, like, how can I? And you just get curious about, like, how could I actually make that work? How could this look in my life? And you
Yeah.
start just getting curious about it. Your new doors are going to open for you.
Right. I love that. You talk about you have the boutique, you have this podcast, right? You have all of these things that you do. What are some tips that you can give moms about just balancing life? Because maybe that's something that's holding them back too, is like, well, I have the kids, I have all this stuff. How would I add on this other thing that the Lord is calling me to? What are some tips that you would give about balancing all the things?
There are three steps I think we need to take as women. We need to do, like, I don't care what your season looks like right now, or if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom or whatever it is. I think we all need to identify about five key priorities for our life, just five. What are
Mm.
your five non-negotiable priorities for your life? When I work with women who are primarily business owners, most of them do not land on that list of priorities. And I bet if you were
Wow.
kind of thinking through your list of five, you're not on that list either. You're filling
Mm,
that list with five other things, but not you. You've got to be on that list. You've got to be one of those priorities. And so you've got to get your list of five, or maybe you're a mom who, like, your whole identity is motherhood. And so the only thing on your list right now is your kids. And I'm going to tell that's not balance,
yeah.
right? There's your marriage, there's your relationship with the Lord, there's
Mhm.
you there,
Right.
right? And so pick five things that are your non-negotiable priorities. For some of you, if you're like me, I was like, wait, just five? Like, and to shave things off of that list was really, really difficult. I was overextended when I
Yeah.
started doing this. Either it was too much, I had too many things that my hands were in, and that I was passionate about all of those things, but it just was impossible. Five things that are your key priorities. I want you then to develop habits, one or two habits that would prove that each of those priorities is in fact a priority, right? So if you tell me that your marriage is a priority, but your husband is nowhere on your schedule, that you're not spending time together,
Mm.
like, is it a priority? Because it,
Wow.
it sounds good to say that it's a priority, but show me where your habits prove
Back
that
it
it's a
up.
priority, right?
Yes.
If you tell me that you are a priority, but you're never moving your body,
Mm.
right? Like, are you a priority? You
Yeah.
tell me that your relationship with the Lord is a priority, but you're never spending time with him. Is he a priority, or is it just the good Christian thing to say that he's a
Oof.
priority?
You're so right
This is
about
why
that.
in Bossy Big Sis, I say the hard things, but it's like everything. I'm never calling you out. I'm calling you up. And
Mm.
it's because, like, I have to have these talks with myself. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, girl, like, this is what you say,
Say
but are you
this.
walking that out? And so, what are those five priorities? Create one or two habits that prove that that priority is actually a priority. And then you've got to create boundaries around the habits.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have boundaries around the habits don't stick. And so that may mean, I said that I'm a priority, and that looks like I'm going to take a walk every day. But now, you've got to create a boundary around that. So that means I can't work late today. Or
Yeah.
that means I'm going to have to say no to this thing, because everything that you say yes to, you're also saying no to something else. So when you say yes to volunteering every night of the week, now you're saying no to moving your body ever, right? Every yes also has a no. And so you've got to create the boundaries that protect the habits that prove the priorities are the priorities. When you can start walking that out, it's not easy. It's going to take time. Give yourself grace, but you're going to begin feeling more aligned with a life that you're obsessed with and that honors the Lord.
Yeah. No, I love that. And for me, like boundaries is something that I had to learn myself. Okay, like
Hmm.
I've I've said this before, but I'm like a recovering people pleaser. For me,
Hmm.
like really setting boundaries was challenging, but really it's making that commitment to yourself and sticking to it, right? Like put it on your calendar, make it like it's an appointment, you know. I tell moms all the time, like, hey, you want to spend more time with the Lord, put it on the calendar, set an
Yeah.
alarm, like really treat it like it's a doctor's appointment because I bet you if you have a doctor's appointment, you're going to put it on your calendar, you're going to make it a priority,
Hmm.
you're going to set the boundaries, you're going to make sure that you make it to that time slot. So I
Hmm.
think the same way, if we take those five big priorities that Brandy's talking about and setting those boundaries and setting an appointment to build those habits, what a difference that would make in our life, right?
Hmm.
And
And
that way,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Well, and communicating those things with your family too, because if your
Yes.
family's not used to this version of you,
Hmm.
and all of the sudden, you've got these boundaries and these new habits, like they need to be in the know.
Right.
I think it's helpful to communicate these things with your family
No,
just so they
that
can
is
be on the
so
same
true.
page and support you and also understand that none of this is intentional towards them. It's just these are my priorities and these are the habits that I'm working to create. And so that's going to mean I'm no longer doing your laundry because that's a boundary for me. Because when I do your laundry, now I can't actually get my movement in for the day. So you're going to have to start stepping up
Yeah.
doing
No,
your
that's a
own.
good point. And also it's like, oh, I'm not going to be available for this anymore, you know. It is a
Mhm.
good point to make sure that your family is aware and on board with those changes that you're making. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. This was such a great
Yeah.
conversation, Brandy.
Yeah.
Before you do go, though, I love to ask my guests, you know, their testimony and how they came to the Lord and how the Lord has changed their lives. So I would love for you to just share, you know, a little bit of your testimony
Hmm.
with us.
I have such a long testimony, but I'm going to give just the very Cliff's notes. I grew up knowing the Lord. Like my family went to church, like we were a Christmas, Easter church family, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
like we prayed and stuff and like believed, but like Satan also believes. Like Satan knows the Lord. So believing in and believing on are two totally different things. And God in my life, like through my teenage years, was very backpack God. Like I would always get myself into situations where I'm like, Lord, if you'll get me out of this thing this that I got myself into, I promise I'm never going to XYZ again. And like
Yeah.
God just was always there and like was so faithful to me, but I wasn't, I
Yeah.
just it was a very one-sided relationship. My teen years kind of got chaotic and my parents were on the verge of divorce and did later divorce in my early 20s, but it was just very chaotic and drinking and partying and sex and just chaos as a teenager. But my parents had started going to church to try to repair their marriage. And I would go to church on Sunday mornings, hungover and like puking up vodka in the
Wow.
bathroom. But like every Sunday, like rededicating my life to the Lord, like literally every Sunday. And that was just kind of like the continuation for years. When my husband and I had our first son, we kind of like started like going to church off and on, feeling like that's just what you're supposed to do when, you have kids. We just sort of dabbled, I guess. And we were still like coming to know the Lord, but like very much living in the world. I had aneurysms. It was near death for me.
Wow.
Shortly after that, I lost my job. I think I said I was 28 at the time. I had both my sons at that time. They were 1 and 3. Lost my job after the brain surgery. I was like the primary breadwinner of our family, which was not a lot of, like we were broke. My husband we were social drinkers, but he began drinking like more and more, and it became like a full-on addiction and had to detox from that. And like literally during that detox, God took that addiction from him. Like he detoxed over the course of a week and went into the hospital. He had to be hospitalized and then came home and like that addiction was just gone. And
Wow.
that was, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years ago. I don't even know how many years ago. We don't like keep track. But our lives just were changed after that. It's like God had just shown me like miracle after miracle, like the miracles in my body. I nearly died during my
Right.
brain surgery and was in a coma for 10 days. And then my husband was hospitalized with that addiction. And then it was just gone, just like miraculously gone. Shortly after, just a couple of months after that, like got baptized and like really started to live intentionally for Jesus. And it's just been full speed after that. And those were hard years, but I'm grateful for it because I really have got a knack for connecting with women who are walking through like literally anything. Like you can open up to me because I've been there or I've been in my own mess. I know
Yeah.
what it feels like to be lost and I know what it feels like to live in the world and I know what it's like to struggle and but then I also know what it's like when you live for Jesus and when you start trusting him to order your steps and you start just giving him your yes. I know I've been on both sides of it and I'm not embarrassed and I'm not ashamed and I'm honest and I'm willing to have the hard, honest, vulnerable conversations because I want women to experience freedom. And because I'm like, if God can do it in my life, in my business, I'm a college dropout. I've filed bankruptcy, but then God trusted me to start this boutique. I just said yes. And then it went on to generate like millions of dollars over the course of those years. And it's like, there was nothing so great about me. I
Mhm.
literally just said yes. And
Yeah.
my marriage now is incredible. But it wasn't like that. Like we were near divorce and hated each other. And so it's like, I love sharing my story because it's like, there's nothing so great about me. Like if God can do it in my life, he can do it in your life too.
Yeah.
It's just saying yes when like your flesh really wants to say no.
Mm-hmm. True.
So that's the
No.
condensed version of the story.
Yes, no, I love that you shared that because I think for me, it's like I've always felt like, oh, I don't have such a big 180 story, right? But I love just hearing other people's testimony because it's so powerful, like other people
Mhm.
can relate to it and they can feel like, oh, because I think the enemy wants us to feel like we're the only ones going through it. Nobody else is dealing with it. So I
Huh?
think our stories and our testimony is so powerful because then people can see, oh yeah, I am like that. Oh yeah, I did that too. Oh, the Lord can still use me.
Yeah.
Can he continually chases you and loves you where you are and will meet you where you are. So,
Right. The enemy wants us to feel isolated
mhm.
and alone. I did jail ministry for 7 years and have been a leader in women's ministry for more than a decade. And the women in the church pews are dealing with the same things as the women in the jail cells so much of the
Mm,
time. The enemy's attacking in the exact same ways, just a little differently. And I can't stand it. Like, it makes me mad. I don't like seeing women defeated, especially as women of Christ. Like, the victory is already ours. Like,
right.
we are standing on victory. We are fighting from victory, not for victory. And
Mhm.
it fires me up because I hate seeing women defeated, especially women who are believers. Like, we're the head, not the tail. Like we
Right.
are overcomers because we are Christ's daughters, period.
Thank you so much, Brandy, for you guys. Obviously, go check out Brandy on her podcast, the Bossy Big Sis podcast. I'll put the links of all the things. Brandy, do you have anything that you want to share with the ladies?
Yeah, if you are testimony girlies, every Friday I have an episode. Cindy's actually on my podcast as well. I have an episode every Friday where it's my Strong Women series, and I have a strong woman share her testimony and what she's walked through. And I have stories of abuse and addiction and some crazy, wild stories,
Mm.
but how
Yeah.
God has moved in their lives. And so if you're ever feeling alone or not enough, or like you've gone too far, or you're not worthy of love, tune into one of those episodes. If you need real talk, if you need a little fire lit every now and then, my Wednesday episodes will be your jam. I'm always talking about things that are just relevant to women. So it could be anything from wellness and fitness to mindset and confidence and sex and relationships and marriage, but from a biblical lens. And
Mhm.
those episodes are really fun too. I try to have, they're all just like this, like just a conversation.
Thank you
So,
so much, Brandy, for being on the
yeah.
podcast. And I'll make sure to put your social media and the website and where they could find you in the description.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a good conversation.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I pray that it has blessed you in some way. If you found value in this episode, or you know a mama who could use some encouragement, please be sure to share the episode with them. Would you take just a few minutes to leave a review on Apple Podcasts? It would mean a great deal to me if you could let me know what you thought of the episode. Be sure to follow us at Live Love Mom Podcast on Instagram. And if you haven't already, come join us in our free Live Love Mom community on Facebook. Let's mom alongside each other and continue to learn to live loved.